What's good, y'all? It's me, Chris. Welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing the Wendy Williams movie and documentary. Y'all know I love some mess, so I'm super excited to discuss this with y'all. Now, my ass does not have cable. Got every other streaming service except for cable. So I unfortunately was not able to watch this on Saturday when it premiered with the majority of other people. I had to wait until somebody uploaded it on YouTube. So shout out to them. They uploaded the movie and the documentary. So I was able to watch it, the movie on Sunday and then the documentary on Monday. And when I'm watching pieces of content like this and I decide to make a video on it, I like to watch it twice just to make sure I'm catching everything and making sure that I'm well prepared in what I'm going to be discussing. But of course, YouTube won again and they took down the clips because they took down the whole movie and documentary because of copyright infringement. So I had to watch other YouTubers' reviews just to remind myself of what happened throughout the movie and the documentary. So if I leave something out, my bad. We won't go over everything in detail anyway, but if you feel like there was something that you were in shock of and something that you really enjoyed or just had a disdain for, leave it in the comments below. Before we get into the actual movie and documentary and Wendy Williams as a whole persona and personality, I just want to discuss like when I was first familiarized with Wendy Williams. So I first heard of Wendy Williams in like 2006. She had a talk show on VH1. It was called the Wendy Williams Experience. It essentially was just a camera inside her radio studio. It wasn't anything different than what she's doing now as a talk show host versus what she was doing as a radio host. And I remember the clip that I got familiar with the most. It was like Wendy Williams was asking John Legend was he gay, and like I was 17 at that time, and my ass was just fiending for anything gayness, and especially still just feeling so much shame that I was like, "Oh, is he gay?" John Legend is fine. Still fine. Can't stand his wife, Chrissy Teigen, but John Legend is still fine. And I just remember being like, oh, this is so salacious. This is so messy. I just rewatched a clip right now where Wendy Williams was interviewing Irv Gotti and they were talking about Superhead and just a mess. It's a mess what Wendy Williams is. Like, if you ever thought Wendy Williams was salacious on her current talk show, go back to the Wendy Williams Experience. Even go back to some of her radio interviews. I mean, y'all know that most iconic interview between Wendy Williams and Whitney Houston, which I didn't know that it was a 28-minute interview. I've only ever heard clips. I did not know it was a full-on 30-minute interview. I would thought it was some where she was like a segment of the show, but no, it's like a full 30-minute conversation. Like, go watch it. Wendy is great. I think before I big her up, I do want to acknowledge like Wendy Williams, while yes, she is very talented, she is also extremely problematic. Extremely problematic. She says the most judgmental things, has insinuated the most bigoted of things, has perpetuated lies, and yet she is still found the most mundane things to be so interesting and entertaining. Like, not everyone can do that. Like Wendy Williams literally paved the way for people like me and many other YouTubers, commentators, podcasters, hosts to do what she's doing. Like, literally finding the things that you enjoy the most and being able to talk about people and people caring enough to listen to the things that you enjoy the most. That's literally what Wendy Williams did. That's literally what a lot of commentators do on YouTube. That's what I do. Like, Wendy Williams is remarkable. She is a talent. You cannot say that Wendy Williams doesn't have a skill and hasn't very much have a good eye for creating content and creating the conversations and getting the eyes on her. Like, she's very much skilled at that, and we have to acknowledge that for sure. I also have a soft spot for Wendy Williams because her and my mom are the same age. So sometimes, while my mom is way more of a progressive person than Wendy Williams and way more empathetic, there's just things that I can see a lot because they grew up in the same generation. When I hear my mom talk and when I hear Wendy Williams, that they just seem like very much they could be friends, and my mom really enjoys Wendy Williams. So, problematics aside, my mom also recognizes the problems. We all recognize Wendy Williams' problems, but I've enjoyed Wendy Williams a lot. I don't watch her as more of the recent years, not because I don't feel like her politic has changed, which it hasn't, but also because I feel like she's become slightly lazier in her telling. I don't know if she wants to shift to do something else. I'm fine if we could just do a bunch of content that is around Wendy Williams' life and her experience, and maybe if she had like a reality TV show, I'd be fine. It looks like she's a little over talking about celebrity gossip, at least in the manner that the way that she's been used to talking about it. So that's why I haven't tuned into the Wendy Williams show, but I've still, you know, secretly been like rooting for Wendy Williams to continue, because I do think that what she's done has been phenomenal. So I was here for this documentary very much so, and the movie. So when they released this trailer for the movie a month ago, I said, wow, this looks a mess. This is ridiculous. And I'm going to watch every single minute of it. Y'all know. I said I will be there to watch this. And I said, oh, and it was done by Lifetime and produced by Wendy Williams. I was like, that Aaliyah movie that she did was horrible. I've never seen it in its entirety still to this day, because I just have too much respect for myself and for Aaliyah as the icon that she is, that I will not watch that movie in full. But I've seen clips of it online, and wow. And I've seen it, and I've heard everyone's reaction to it. Like the disrespect and the disregard that Wendy Williams and her production team had for Aaliyah's story. So I was thinking, oh, the mess, she's gonna give it to herself too. Totally. So I'm here into it. And when I started watching the movie, I said, not this movie actually being kind of good. Now listen, the movie is still not great at all, but I was really impressed with the casting. I thought the people that they cast very much well embodied the role, especially Sierra Payton as the lead as Wendy Williams. Now, she didn't get her accent well. It's really hard to do a Wendy Williams accent. It's like this mix of New Jersey, New York. It's very theatrical. It's very dramatic. Like, I'm sure it probably takes like a few months, a really good vocal coach, a really good dialect coach to be able to pick up, to be able to adapt that type of accent. But I will say, I feel like she embodied her very, very well. I think, like I said, the casting and the acting was actually good in this production. I didn't feel like anyone dropped the ball on that sense. So I appreciated those aspects of the movie, but I was really watching it and I'm like, wow, this is already 10 times better than any clip that I've seen of the Aaliyah movie across the internet. There was a few things that I had a problem with for me not to consider this to be a good project. One was the pacing was really off. I'm like, what is this timeline? We're just jumping from like these major points in her life, and I felt like they didn't put a timestamp enough as I would have liked to have seen. I think I saw 1998 one time. Like I said, it could have been other timestamps. I also did watch this on YouTube, so YouTube has to edit it a certain way for YouTube not to strike it as copyright, for it to stay up as long as it did. So it stayed up for almost like 48 hours. So maybe there was parts of the movie that I just didn't see, but the timing seemed really off. We were jumping in these huge gaps. The voiceover was really weird. In movies and television shows, it's very much that you show don't tell, but Wendy and whoever created this movie, the director and the writers, were actually showing us. So the voiceovers just felt redundant to me. It didn't feel necessary. And it also felt distracting because then we had to hear Sierra Payton's accent more, which, like I said, was not great. So the fact that she didn't even have a strong accent I would have been like, you know, let's ask this voiceover. It's not adding anything to the story, especially since we're doing such a good job telling the story. So that to me was a little off. For me, I really feel like this project, this movie that she did was just to feed her ego. It very much felt like self-serving. Look at me and what I've accomplished. Look how hard of a life I've had. Look at how much I've dealt with from my childhood to the men in my life to the adversities I felt in my career. I don't know, it just didn't feel like any type of like self-reflection. It didn't seem any type of accountability. Like, she acknowledged the things that she did wrong in doing drugs and being messy at times, but I don't know, it just didn't feel very like well-rounded. I just think that with a lot of these movies, sometimes the people who they're telling should not be involved in the creative process because you're just too close to it, and you can't always add this perspective and this artistry that is needed to tell the story of a complex person. It was an okay movie. I found the documentary to be way better, much more interesting, much more compelling, giving us way more insightful. I was like, this is what the Wendy project we should have had. Should have just been the documentary. The movie to me just seemed a way to serve her inflating ego as an entertainer. I just want to discuss a few points that were mentioned in the documentary as well as were depicted in the Wendy Williams movie. First of one of them were the fatphobia that was in her childhood. My God, I was disgusted with that. I can't believe that her parents fostered that type of environment for her, telling her that if she just got down to a certain size, she would be so much prettier, and putting her on diets, and the constant amount of fat shame. Like, I'm so blessed that my childhood experience, that my parents didn't fuck me up like that, because that's literally what Wendy Williams' parents did. Fucked her up. Really fucked up her perception of how she felt about herself. Even until now, you can see right now that the ways in which her parents treated her, she still is heavily impacted. She still feels the ramifications of the way that her parents spoke to her and treated her. And it was so disgusting to see in the documentary that when her parents are recounting the stories in which they talked about her childhood and her fatness, there's like no remorse. Like, you can see that they have no full understanding in the ways that the upbringing impacted Wendy Williams' life and her perception of her body. Like, it's disgusting. And this is what we say, like, to eradicate a system of fatphobia, because look how damaging it is to people, especially when you bring it up in childhood. I will tell you, the ways in which you are raised in childhood have ways of impacting your life forever. And eventually, yes, you grow out of it. But it's to still say that there's so much importance in the messaging that you leave and you instill into young children. Like, it just makes me so mad. It makes me hyper aware of any children that I'm around. The type of messaging, the ways that which I talk about myself and the ways that which I talk about them only come from a place of love and care, concern. And one could say that this was taken from, I'm sure that her parents felt like they were coming from a place of love and care, concern, but they never took the time to like consider Wendy's feelings in the way she felt, because easily I felt like they could have gotten to the root of her feelings and could have addressed her body issues. But we live in a fatphobic society. We live in a society where we hate fat people and where we see them as less than, and we put so much value in a thinness. And that's what Wendy Williams aspired to do her whole entire life, achieving thinness, because she didn't get that affirmation and love from her parents from jump. It was really so exciting to watch. Wendy Williams suffers severely from hustle culture. There's a line in the movie where she brags about not being unemployed for more than 2 weeks. And while, yeah, I get it that we all have to participate in capitalism or we will literally die, her self-esteem is just way too tied to her job and what she does for a living. She has a line in the movie where she talks about the best revenge is success. And this is a timeless saying. She's not the first one to say it, but I'll say, no, sweetie. The best revenge is your peace and happiness. Your mental health is the best success that you can receive. Creating a space in which you don't allow people to come in and abuse you and take advantage of you, that is important. Learning and understanding your own desires and creating boundaries in which people don't have access to you like that anymore, that is what is the best success. Not your job. You are really not defined by your job or what you do. Like, capitalism got y'all trying to heal some traumatic ass wounds, and it's just not working. People need to seek actual help, whatever that is, outside of working, outside of making money. It is very prevalent. You can see it in this documentary. Wendy is not okay. Wendy is not okay. Regardless of what she says, she is not okay. And she considers herself to be her best friend. It's just very isolating when you focus so much on work, and when you put so much value into that, you forget to build those important relationships that are going to create the support system that you need to uphold yourself. Because at the end of the day, while yes, it's you yourself, we need each other. We need people. So my money, whatever my college degree I get, it just will not suffice the type of help that I will need, the type of peace that I will need, and making sure that not to allowing toxicity to get back into my life. The money I make just will not do that alone. The last takeaway that I like to discuss that I observed from the movie and the documentary is to leave these niggas alone. Leave these niggas alone. Leave these niggas alone. They will be so destructive and detrimental to your life. Do y'all not see what that nigga Kevin did to Wendy? My God. Like, of course, anyone who is attracted to men, it would be silly of me to say, like, to stop dating men. That's just ridiculous. But not men, but men like this will have you all the way fucked up. Wendy Williams had no business making Kevin her manager. No business making her manager. What was the expertise? Where was the skill level? What type of experience did this man have leading her career? You see in plenty of interviews how people talked about how intimidating Kevin was and how unsafe that they felt and how he coerced a lot of people and how they just didn't want to work with him after a while because of how controlling and how dominating he was of the room and the environment. Had him messing up on all the bags because people want to work with Wendy, the star that she has been. And you got this nigga over here dragging you down. Then you got this nigga over here cheating on you. And then you show up to his house and you can spray on his house. These niggas will out have you looking out here looking like a fool. I'm telling you, leave these men alone. Do not let your value be so tied into having a man. I'm trying to tell you, that's what I've always related to a lot in consuming Wendy Williams, is when Wendy Williams talks about family and motherhood and womanhood and children. It's very much in similar parallels in which the way my mom talks about it. But sometimes I'm just like, wow, I see that was just a time of y'all generation in which there was just so much value in that and not in like existing in your own self. I'm telling you, you need to be a whole person before you decide to hop in a relationship. No other person is going to complete you. They should just be adding an addition to your life. No other person needs to be the center of your universe. No, look at what it got Wendy. It's got her being the most loneliest that she's been in her life. If you ask me, she's been so isolated because she's poured in so much into Kevin. And now look where Kevin is, out with a whole another woman and child. So damn, it's definitely a tale of like, you are enough. You are enough and you are capable. Like Wendy Williams said in the documentary, she knew she was the shit without him. But because she bought into the idea of family, the American family and the value of being a partner and being this wife, she bought into it and she allowed it. That's what I'm saying. Don't let these American values fuck you up. Do not let these American values fuck you up. I really do appreciate the space that Lifetime is making for Black women's stories to be told. Now, while they're not always that good and not my cup of tea, I just appreciate the visibility and being able to showcase and display and tell the stories of so many icons and legends within the Black community, people who have propelled the culture forward. I'm grateful to it. I appreciate the space and what they're doing there. That's all the thoughts that I have for today's video. I would love to hear what y'all have to think about Wendy Williams and the documentary and the movies. Please leave it in the comments below. I know y'all about to go to town. Don't be disrespectful in the comments, okay? Like, Wendy Williams deserves a lot of draggings from time to time, but we're not going to be misogynistic and transphobic, and we're not going to deny Wendy Williams of the talent that she has displayed and given to us for the past like 30 years. So leave this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the Crispy Noah family, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.